Revenue Studio.
All right, we are back with another episode in the Revenue Studio. Today I have Josh Levine from Electra Entertainment joining me. Josh, let's get right into it.
Rod, it's great to be here with you.
Good, man. So I was actually trying to think how long I've known you. I think we've known each other, I want to say at least 10 years.
Yeah, you did your the first video for Electra in March of 2015.
Oh, wow.
So it's actually been 11 years.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. So how long have you been in business, Electra? How long ago did you start that?
So I started Electra in October of 1999. So we're coming on 27 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is crazy, man. Now, at what point, I guess, did you, realize that this could be, sort of a long-term, business? Like at what point, I know from my own experience, when you start a business, the first year or two could be, trial, you know what I mean? You don't know. So I guess at what point did you feel like, this could be kind of a long-term, something that can last, a long time?
It probably took me about 4 years to really feel like this was something I could do and it could be sustainable for a long time.
Okay.
The first couple years were definitely tough. I had been a DJ for 4 years before I started the company. I was with a really good company in the Howard County area. Due to some reasons, it became to be time to move on. And I actually didn't even think I was going to start my own company. I actually thought I was done DJing, mostly because I had worked with a really good company. Again, the reasons it came for an end were really no one's fault. It was just sort of time, and that business was starting to go in a different direction. And I was still a senior in college, so I just happened to take my last $100 to my name and went with a fraternity brother to Atlantic City. And I won enough money playing roulette to buy my first DJ system that was mine. And then I had enough left over for business cards. So I said, all right, let's give this a shot. But it took about 3 or 4 years before I really felt like, hey, this could be sustainable. This could be a full-time career, but it was just figuring out the how and the what.
Right. Was there like a turning point, during those first 4 years, when you said that when you realized that, was there any particular event or anything in particular that, gave it away that you said, you know what, this could actually work out?
So I was trying to make the company work, but I was also doing something else at the same time. And the something else came to an end. And I didn't have any huge urge to go find another something else because I felt, you know what, you've been building this. I was also putting myself through grad school at the time, getting my master's degree in business, and the different things that I was learning, I was actually I was taking what I was learning in school and starting to incorporate that into the business. And I kind of just felt the growth. So it almost felt like it was May of 2003. The other thing ended and I started to feel pretty good. And when I started looking at that busy season and how busy I was, I said, okay, let's just ride this out and see what happens over the next year. And over the next year, revenues doubled. And so it was like, okay, let's give this a shot.
But by the way, what were you said you were getting your master's. What was that on?
It was my master's in business administration.
Oh, man.
So
that came in handy, I'm sure.
It helped. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, when I went to undergrad, I got a degree in broadcast journalism.
Wow.
Didn't do a whole lot with that. Had some cool experiences, but the landscape of that world was changing right at the turn of the century, which is when I was graduating college. So But I'd been DJing through the end of high school and through college, and just sort of fell in love with that industry and that line of work.
During those first few years, how did you build your clientele? Like, were you doing, email or letters, or how do you, during the first few years, how do you build up your your client base?
It was hard. And it's, you think about, when I think about it today, I just think about how different things are today from where they were, 23, 24 years ago.
Sure.
The entire business was different. I couldn't even email a contract back then. I would send via mail. Anytime someone wanted a book, I was mailing contracts.
Wow.
And then you would wait to get the contract back in the mail. Whereas today you push a button, it flies through, someone can e-sign it, and the whole transaction can be done in 2 minutes.
Right.
But from a marketing and advertising standpoint, took a lot of different routes, did a lot of print advertising. That was pretty big back then. If you weren't in the yellow pages, it definitely felt like it hurt. Now I don't even know if there is a yellow pages anymore.
Right.
Did a lot of mailings, did promotional showcases like bridal shows or conventions, did anything really to be seen.
Right.
So someone could see, hey, this is what I offer and this is what I do. So it was a lot of different things. And advertising was always expensive. Wow. Advertising is never cheap.
Right. And it's still today.
Yes.
Right. Now I've been to obviously a lot of your, events. So I know, firsthand, how you guys do business, your team specifically. I take it took a while to build, a team that you can trust and that you can rely on. How have you, over the years been able to develop a team? Because I know from my own perspective that, a lot of the success that we have as a business relies, upon the team that you have behind you. So how were you able to, do that over the years?
It's the hardest thing in business.
Right.
You can have all the clients in the world, you can have all the opportunities in the world, but without a good team, the only reason I'm successful is, my own personal drive, but more importantly, the people who are a part of the team. And I have always tried to take the approach of, we're in this together. I don't like it when people say, hey, I work for you. It's always a big no, you work with me. Building a team is really tough, particularly in this line of work, because you need a lot of things. You need people who have a talent, DJing and performing. You need charisma, you need energy, you need certain intangibles depending upon what the role is. And so you have to have all the talent, and then you always have to have what is the most critical, which is reliability and dependability. This is not a business where, hey, I'm not feeling well today, I don't want to go to work today. We don't have that luxury. We're doing weddings, we're doing bar and bat mitzvahs, sweet 16s, quinceañeras, any type of event that's a once in a lifetime. We don't have the luxury of saying, I'm going to call out today. And that's hard to get people to understand that when they're trying to come on board with the team. It's, hey, I don't feel that good today, I got to get my body right. And, you get that, but the parties go on.
Right.
And so building a team, it's identifying the talent and it's embracing them and making them feel like you care about them. Because for me, I do care. I like to consider the team part of the family. And I always say to people, welcome to the family. Because we spend a lot of time together. We go through ups and downs together. Events sometimes can be challenging. Sometimes they're very easy.
Right.
Sometimes they're a little challenging. But building a cohesive team where everybody feels included and like they're part of the team. Everyone's role is critical, whether you're just helping us set up and break down, or whether you're the lead MC or DJ.
Right, right. No, no, and one thing that I know, from what you said, being reliable is the most important quality that you look for in a team. And I know that firsthand because a lot of, I run my business myself, but obviously a lot of the shoots that I do, I have to, get a team. I got to hire, people that do different things. And over the years, I have, developed a team of people that, number one, more than talent, because I can find a lot of people that can operate a camera,
Right.
or can do sound or makeup, whatever. But somebody you can rely on, I think that is the most important factor. Like the one thing that differentiates, one from another, is the fact that you can rely on them and you can count on them. They're gonna be there, no matter what, and
Right.
they're gonna also represent your company well.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously when they come and they're working for your company, they're basically an extension of Electra. So you know what I
Absolutely.
mean? So the way they behave, that reflects on you. You know what I mean? Again, I know that from new stuff, from my own business.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you want them to feel a part of that. You want your team to feel, hey, this is part mine too.
Mm-hmm.
And so it all comes to building that culture, building that feeling of inclusion.
Right.
You want everyone just to feel a part of it. We have some people who were, we had an event this past weekend where someone on the team was 45 and someone was 17,
Wow.
and they're friends, their family, they work together, they look out for one another. And yeah, the reliability and the people who buy into what you're doing. I always think that's so critical is, do you understand what we're trying to do and what the ultimate goal is? And do you buy into that vision? Because if you're not bought into what the vision is, it's going to be hard
Right.
to then be reliable. And it's okay if you're not. It just might mean, hey, this wasn't meant to be to work together.
No. Very, very true. Now, you mentioned that you guys do, bar mitzvahs, weddings, birthday parties. At the beginning, when you started, did you start doing just one type of event, or from the get-go, you were doing, different types of events?
Yeah. So from the get-go, we were doing everything. And we were focusing on trying to get everywhere and everything.
Right.
I think an easy thing to do, as a DJ or maybe even a photographer, a videographer, is to target the wedding market. I think it's easy to look at, because there's always weddings.
Right.
I started to feel after a while that it was a very saturated market. And I wanted to do, I felt like the wedding side at the time was too restrictive. It wasn't letting me be as creative as I wanted to be, and really to develop the type of party that I wanted to throw. So that's where we started pivoting and focusing on more the teen celebrations, the bar and bat mitzvahs, the sweet 16s, the quinceañeras, and really focus on what we were delivering in schools. So we still do weddings. We still love weddings. But we sort of pivoted into this other area, and it allowed us to develop a bigger experience, not just being a DJ for a party or a wedding, but really just building an entire experience with the lighting and the giveaways and the pizzazz and the pomp and circumstance.
Right. No, I can. I kind of feel the same way with weddings. Like, there was a time I used to do a lot of weddings, and then over time, I think what you said, that weddings can be challenging. You know what I mean? There's obviously a lot of restrictions. There's also a lot of pressure with weddings, from your side, and also when you're filming them, there's a lot of things happening that you got to make sure you get
right.
You can't miss this, you can't miss that. And people are under a lot of pressure. Like, you have, the groom, the bride. I mean, it's their biggest day.
Right.
So they can sometimes be a little, difficult to deal with. I early on, I think I identified that, that wasn't sort of the path we wanted to, pursue. So nowadays I probably do a wedding like, I don't know, maybe once a year.
Okay.
Like I actually just did one last month. But before that, probably been a year since I did the last one. Question, at what point do you, because I found, again, from running my own business, a lot of people are good at, let's say I'm a videographer. I'm good at the video part, but not so much the business part. You know what I mean? And a lot of people, especially when they start at the beginning, they may know how to do the what it is that their business do. Like, if they're a landscaper, yeah, they know how to cut the grass and this and that. But knowing the business side is really critical. Obviously you may have, because you went to school and you got your degree on that might have given you sort of an edge. But how did you, I guess, identify that the business side was just as important, if not more, than the actual DJing?
It's for a long time, it was I'm a DJ. I DJ.
Right.
And I wish I remember when it was. It wasn't that long ago. And when I say it wasn't that long ago, maybe 7 years ago, maybe 8 years ago, I realized that the DJing itself was the most fun and was the easiest part of anything I do. The business part, I realized pretty quickly that if I wasn't going to be good in business and I wanted to just be a great DJ, then I needed to be a part of an agency or have someone else representing me and handling the business side. Because if you don't get the opportunities, if you don't have the gigs, if you don't have the people who want your services, there's not, like, you could have all the talent in the world, but if you're not using it, you're not working, you're not making money, and you got to do something else. Right. So I realized pretty quickly how important the business part was, but it's just a constant learning experience. I got my work ethic from both my parents. My father was just this hard worker. I felt like as a kid, he was gone when I woke up. And when I got home from school, he wasn't home yet. He'd come in and then he'd always have dinner with us and spend some time with us. But then every night he would sit down and do some work. And my mother, who unfortunately we lost about a year and a half ago, Mom was head of household and ran the house, but Mom also worked. And Mom ran a doctor's office. And my mother was I'm the daughter of a doctor. And in her professional career, my mother was the most organized person on the planet. And I think it's a little spooky because my wife might be even more organized. So that's crazy. But the work ethic, I'm blessed. I got the best from both of them, where I got their drive and I got their commitment. And then my father constantly kind of instilled in me, and didn't even realize he was doing it, is you always have to be willing to reinvent yourself. So just because something always worked or something has worked doesn't mean it always will work. And how do you grow with the times? If you would have said to either one of us maybe 2 or 3 years ago, hey, in 2026, AI is going to completely change the way you're doing work, I'd probably be like,
right,
what? Really? And now it's thinking like, how did we survive without this? Right. Or you think about just something as simple as text messaging, all of that, how we've incorporated text messaging into our business models or digital communication. So the business element, to be able to grow with it, because you have to change with your clients. Right. You can have a business, but if you go in with the mindset of, this is who we are and people should want to work with us, you're going to be out of business really quick. You have to evolve and evolve with the way your customer is in order to keep growing. And once you learn that, lesson, then you can actually focus on the growing and learning. Long-winded answer. My
Right.
apologies.
No. But I totally agree. But especially the last part where you were talking about, you have to be able to evolve. Especially when it comes to your clients.
Yeah.
I think and I've seen that a lot from other people, other businesses, where they have their way. Oh, it's this way. This is how I do business. This is how it's gonna be. And yeah, those people don't last long. I found that you have to be flexible. You have to be able to adapt, because also every client is different. You know what I mean? You may have a client that today, next week, they're completely different. They work different. They want things done differently. So you definitely have to be able to adapt and basically mold yourself to whatever the job is.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, I think, have issues with that. And that can make it challenging, running a business if you think that way. But you brought up AI. Obviously, I have to make, over the last year, I mean, I would say that I've made the most changes, because especially my business, video photography, any creative, obviously now with AI, what I'm doing now is so different. You know what I mean? Some things have gone away, some things have become easier. But I've incorporated AI into my workflow to where now I feel like I'm doing more with less effort. I feel like AI can do, for me anyway, can do a lot of stuff. How has AI, I guess, changed the way you guys do business, and how are you using it, to your advantage?
Yeah, it's been a huge change. I think I agree with a lot of what you said, that in certain cases I'm able to do more with less. I think where it's really helped is certain things that may have taken days to come up with, you can now create or establish within a matter of minutes. I think it's been huge from a marketing standpoint. I think just when you think about the littlest things, just as something as simple as, hey, writing a letter or an email or a proposal or a cover letter, within a matter of seconds, you can prompt what you're looking for, and there it is. And all of those things are important. You still have to read it. You still have to fine tune it. I haven't been able to I haven't done one thing yet where the first prompt I put in, whether it was to ChatGPT or one of the other services that are out there, or Copilot, where the first time it came out perfect. However, it's still a heck of a lot quicker. So being able to adapt it on the business side, and particularly for the marketing and advertising, has been great. From a party standpoint, what I've found is it's almost become like a partner to bounce ideas off of, because it has the ability to scour pretty much the entire world just with some ideas. And so that gives you a different idea of, hey, how can I evolve a concept at a party? I did something yesterday where it was, hey, I want to create a new icebreaker. And I've spent so much time with ChatGPT, I feel like it knows me and it knows my business. And that's a little spooky, but it's like a second business partner sometimes.
No, I agree. I mean, I pretty much use them all, ChatGPT, Claude, and especially coming up with concepts. Now I'm at the point where I can, tell ChatGPT, hey, I'm shooting this event. What are some, thinking of on the editing process, what are some shots that I should get now, make sure I get, so that when I go into editing, it makes it easier. And it will literally say, oh, get this shot, this, that.
Yeah.
And, obviously I still, like you say, you still want to make sure that, it would work, and you want to, you may have to do some proofreading, whatever. But for the most part, it is beneficial. It simplifies. It's like having an assistant.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That can do a lot, and it can do it quick.
Yep.
We
had a scenario, it was about a month ago, and we were asked to DJ at a Harry Potter brunch. And I was like, well, okay, if we're just playing music from the Harry Potter movies, and I love movie soundtracks. Like, I've been a DJ for as long as I've been, but if you want to, if someone says to me, hey, what's the type of music you'd be surprised I listen to movie soundtracks all the time.
Nice.
It's relaxing, it's fun.
Sure.
I can do other things, still have the background music there, but it can still inspire me. And all I'm thinking is, I can't play 4 hours of like movie soundtracks at a live event. I'm going to put everyone to sleep. Everyone's going to be bored out of their mind. So we were able to use AI and come up with this entire idea for this entire Harry Potter brunch. And we were able to like come up with different ways to have a brunch crowd be a part of an interactive experience. And then we were able to use AI to really help us expand thinking of the music and how do we curtail that. So we're able to come up with more of a, you know, a contemporary playlist of like current music, but that still fit that vibe. It was an amazing experience. It was very eye-opening.
Wow. Interesting. No, I mean, you know, like I said, there are so many benefits, you know. I mean, that case right there, that's a perfect, you know, example of what you can do. Now, for those that, you know, don't know your company, you know, Electra, what do you guys do? Like, you know, who is like your ideal client?
So for us, so we're an entertainment company for live events. We're looking for anyone who's having a party or a celebration from as few as, let's say, 5 people to as many as 5,000. We could probably do more. I think it's a little bit different after 5,000 is very rare. So we started as a DJ company. So being the people who played music, we added production and lighting and audio video to our setups where we can have live party cameras at events. We do something we call capture cam, which will take pictures throughout the party and you see them on our TV screens. We have an amazing production team that does great lighting and great light shows with fog machines and cold spark machines. So we can do all sorts of different things like that. And we're looking for people who really want to have a high energy interactive experience where we're not just going to have a DJ, we're going to have an MC who's going to be a mic person and a hype person. We're going to have hype motivators there who are going to dance and engage with your crowd. We're going to have giveaways. We're going to have glow sticks. We are looking to take a celebration, turn up the volume, figuratively and literally, and bring it up to the next level.
Nice, man. I mean, again, I've been to your parties and I know they're always, I mean, I see people like, it feels like when I'm looking at people, it feels like they're having the best time ever. Like, that's just not the way that they look. You know what I mean? They're laughing, they're smiling, they're having fun, they're dancing, you know, so, and like you say, you keep the party going.
Yeah.
In your mind, I guess in your experience, what makes a good party?
Well, to me, it's all about the people.
Right.
I think, you know, I like to think we're pretty good at what we do, but if people come with the mindset of, hey, I'm going to go and have a good time, it is something else. When people want that experience, I think one of the greatest experiences I had in this business was right around when everything was opening up after the pandemic. And, you know, taking all the negative out of it, taking the political pieces out of it, taking everything out of it. People were just happy to be back together.
Right.
And it just to be able to party, do something as simple as have a party.
Right.
Which we probably all took for granted.
Right.
And, you know, being able to just go and have fun. When people want to go and have fun, it makes our job so much easier. If people are going, and look, dancing and partying is not for everybody. I think if, I always joke with my wife that, I play a character. My character is I'm a DJ.
Mhm.
When I'm at a party that I'm working, I am the most energetic. I'm the most charismatic, hyped, ready to roll, ready to party. Let's do it. You can even hear it in my voice as I talk about it. I turn the volume way up. That's my character. When I'm at a party and I'm spending time with my wife or with my friends or my family, I'm probably the guy a DJ hates because I don't like to get up and dance. I'm not a dancer. I like to catch up with my friends. I like to enjoy whatever beverage of choice I'm drinking, whether it's water, Diet Coke, or a scotch on the rocks. Like, I'm more of a chill. I'm happy to be there, but I'm not the get up and dance type. So I'm probably the guy I hate. But when people want to have fun and when people are just coming and, with the intention of we're going to go have a good time,
Mhm.
those parties are just so much fun because we can meet the energy that people come with and we can help them take it to a level they never thought was possible.
Mm. Good stuff, man. Obviously, you've been in business, over 20 years. What are some, I guess, some takeaways or advice, that you can give to someone who, might be looking to get started, in business, in any business, maybe particularly in your line of work, but really for anyone getting started today, that wants to open a business? Like, what are some advice that you could, from obviously being in business more than 20 years?
Yeah, I think more than anything, it's you're gonna work. You have to work harder than you've ever imagined, and I don't think it's as hard to do because when you're doing it for yourself, you are more motivated. But you have to learn to live, sleep, and eat your business. However, you have to learn to make time for yourself and for your family. I think identifying I use the word balance, but there's never a balance. It'll never be 50% work, 50% family. It's, at least in my opinion, if you want to be successful.
No, I agree.
That being said, you have to identify and set what those boundaries are. But I think if you want to start, find something you're passionate about and don't let anyone tell you you can't do it. And when the road gets bumpy, figure out how to fight through it. There will be challenges no matter the line of work. We all experienced it with COVID. We all had to reinvent ourselves and reinvigorate and figure out a way to survive if we wanted our businesses to survive.
Right.
Don't let you can let those things scare you, but I always have a rule. Something can bother me for 24 hours. After 24 hours, I have to let it go. And so I had about 24 hours during the pandemic where it was, how am I going to keep an events business going, if there's no events? And we figured it out. It was just very different. And then once we got really good at it, everything opened back up and we had to put all that stuff away and it's sitting on a shelf somewhere. But just that commitment and hard work and just fight for your dream. Go after that dream. Don't let anyone tell you you can't. Figure out a way that you can and don't give up.
No, and I think that's all really good advice. What are some of the mistakes that I guess you see, a lot of people who start businesses nowadays, making that are stopping them from, keeping their business profitable? Like, what are some of the things that you see that, people are doing?
I think the mistake a lot of people make is trying to do too much too fast or grow too much too fast. You have to be very strategic. You have to make smart decisions. I've also learned over time is how much, and this is gonna sound a little more negative than I wanted to, but I have found that a lot of people are very good at giving you their opinion and their advice, but they're not willing to take the risk themselves. And everyone will tell me, oh, you should do this with your business. You'll make a fortune. Okay.
I laugh because I hear that all the time.
All the time, right? Everyone's like, "Oh, you should buy this. Oh, look at this. They're doing it." And people aren't saying it because they actually care. They want you to do well. So no one's saying it from a malicious intent, but when you're new and you're figuring things out, it's very easy to be influenced. And every salesperson on the planet's going to say to you, "Hey, you got to spend money to make money."
Right.
And I don't disagree with that philosophy. That being said, I see people try to do too much too fast and spend too much money without really having a plan of saying, "Hey, if I invest in this particular piece of equipment or this particular gimmick or this particular, for you, it could be a certain type of camera, a certain type of editing software, a certain type of lighting. For me, it could be a certain type of speaker, a different style of photo booth." If I don't have a plan in place on how to profitize and actually have the knowledge of will it work, I can't buy it.
Right.
And I think when you're new, it's easy to get caught up in the hype and the excitement. You have to develop a business plan. And I think that's the biggest mistake most people make is they try to start a business without a plan.
Right.
And you have to have a plan and you have to have rules for yourself that you're going to stick to. And while you want everyone's support, you got to be really careful what ideas you take into account.
No, I agree. And, I was at fault at that myself. At the beginning, when it came to cameras and things like that, I used to buy them just because they came out. Oh, this is a new camera, let me buy this and that and the other, And I learned quickly that, which is what I do now, is I don't buy a piece of equipment unless I know I'm going to profit from it.
Yep.
And I also need it. You know what I mean? Like I have to have a need for it that none of my current equipment can fulfill.
Yep.
But I'm not just going to buy it just because it came out.
Yep.
Just because somebody said, "Oh, you should get this," because I hear that all the time. "Oh, you should make a movie about this. Oh, you should start doing this type of stuff. Oh, you should start shooting, now I'm hearing a lot. Oh, you should start making movies with AI." Like, I just get, people are constantly, and like you said, I don't think they mean it in a malicious way.
No.
But you do have to be careful, of pick and choose which, who you listen to. Because again, if you want to stay profitable, I think finding your lane, finding your niche, and just, because you can be very profitable. I tell people that all the time. A lot of people think to be profitable in business, you need to have, a lot of clients and do multiple things. I found that, if you have one or two good clients, and you are, and you find your niche, you can be very profitable. I mean, I've done it, and when I've had my biggest years, it's been with one or two clients that I worked on that entire year, primarily. I mean, I still have, I still get, and one-off here and there, somebody needs, a video project or whatever. But working primarily with one or two clients, you can be very successful.
Yeah, I think with any business, you have to understand what is your business about.
Right.
No two businesses are necessarily the same. I can put, I know plenty of videographers. I don't know anyone who does what you do. And I mean that in such a positive way because I've seen your work, obviously. I've used you for work, developing incredible promo videos for us over 11 years with another one on the way,
right?
Which we're excited about. And your work is very different than everyone else. You have an approach, you have a vision, you have a way you capture things, and it's what makes you unique and it's what makes you successful. The same way the other company, another company that I know that I do a lot of work with, at events, they have an area that they specialize in. People always ask me all the time, who are your competitors? My competitor really is me. I'm competing with myself, and I don't look at other entertainment companies or DJ services as competition. Um, I look at them as people who offer a service, and I want every one of them to be successful, because if they're successful and I'm successful, it means people are having parties, people are
Right.
having celebrations.
Right.
If they're not successful and they're not working, well, I can't do any more events than I'm already doing. And we want people to always be successful. So it's focusing on yourself,
Mm-hmm.
I think, is so critical, and understanding your business. Like you said, you've had some of your most profitable years when you've had one or two clients. I've had some of my most profitable years focusing on one specific area versus trying to do
Right.
many, many different things. And then, being strategic with what you add on to your service.
Right. Right. No. 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 Totally agree. I think that has been my key to staying in business. Like you said, number one, you have to evolve. Things are happening. Obviously, COVID. A lot of us didn't know what was going to happen. Now with AI, a lot of people that do what I do are out of business. Some of the companies I work with, they're out of business. Others are almost out of business. So being able to reinvent yourself and kind of navigate the times, I think is just as critical, to run a business. Because again, you can be good at what you do for your business, but if the business side, if you don't master that, if you don't know how to do that part, it's going to be nearly impossible to stay in business.
I agree.
So, well, as we wrap up, any final advice for particularly young people that are looking to start a business now, in 2026? Obviously, especially with AI, how prominent it is, and how easy that can make certain things. Any final advice for someone looking to start their business today?
Never stop learning. Constantly try to learn and pick up new things and make yourself better to make your business better. I think if you get too sucked into your business that you forget to develop yourself and continue to develop, that's where it becomes really difficult to evolve and grow
Right.
your business.
Right.
I think it's critical. The other thing that I've learned, which I was not very good at doing when I was young, is really take care of yourself mentally, and make sure you do give yourself time just to rest. I think rest is the most important thing for any business owner, because it keeps you sharp. When you are exhausted and you've worked yourself too hard, you're not as sharp, you are not thinking as clearly, and you can miss opportunities. So carving out that time just to rest your mind, rest your body, and sort of rest your life as much as you can
Mm-hmm.
is critical.
Right.
So, and it sounds like an oxymoron, because I'm saying, hey, you got to throw yourself into it. You got to live, sleep, and eat it. But you also have to know when to pull back and to make sure you're taking care of yourself. If you're your most valuable asset, and in one area of your business, you definitely are, understanding you have other valuable assets within your business, particularly your team. If you're building a business that is involved around a team, your team, to me, my team is the most important thing to me within my business. Without them, I have no business.
Yeah. No.
And the team, treat them the way you'd want to be treated, listen to them, encourage them to bring their ideas, encourage them to give you the good and the negative. So you're going to have to hear feedback you don't always like.
Right.
Embrace that.
Right. Right. No. And I have to piggyback on the. You have to have that willingness to learn, because I try to do that myself every day. I'll try to learn something every day, because even though I've been doing filming for 20 some years, I still feel like every day I can learn something. There's always something that you can learn. And, I think thinking that you know everything or that know all you need to know is just a recipe for disaster. Like, you should never feel like that you know it all, especially when it comes to doing a certain, whatever business you're in, to have that thirst for knowledge and, to always want to know more. I think that is just critical and a great piece of advice.
I think the last thing I definitely want to make sure I get in there is have fun. Because if you're not having fun, don't bother.
Right.
You gotta have fun. Life's too short.
Right. All right. Josh, thank you for coming in. This was a great conversation. And hopefully, we can do a follow up later on.
Anytime.
But thank you for all everybody who's watching on YouTube and the people that are listening on Spotify, Amazon, and Apple Music and all that. I want to thank our listeners, and we hope to see you on the next episode. Thanks, everybody.